It's sticking out a little bit.
It's always sticking out. That's the
It looks like it didn't look earlier though, so I'll just. Do you mind?
It's leaving.
It's like leaving the mohawk. So I just want
it's
you to- I want you to
leaving the
look-
mohawk.
I want you to look your best.
All right.
It's leaving
go.
the hawk.
Dave, thanks for having us here at your bike shop in Bentonville. It's called Mojo Cycles. You've owned this, God, for how long? Tell us a little bit about the shop and tell us about yourself a little bit.
We've been here in Bentonville for just over 15 years. This is our third location as we've continually grown. I initially started by, with a small shop that focused on mountain bikes and BMX, and believe it or not, triathlon. We did a lot of triathlon stuff back in the day, and somehow, as much as I've continued to try and serve that community, everyone thinks of us as a mountain bike shop, so we've kind of gone that direction. So we've been here, we've seen all the changes from when the trails first came to what we've got now, which is close to 110 miles of trail in Bella Vista alone.
Wow. That's even more than, like the last time I looked at that metric, that's even more. It seems like it's almost every day there's a new trail.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was riding this week and found about 2 or 3 miles of new trail, or relatively new trail, compared to other stuff that didn't exist, even, months ago, and I didn't even know they were there. So that's really cool.
That's crazy because, like, I know you ride all the time. Pretty much like your wardrobe is a riding outfit.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, you look like you're either going to the trail or you're coming off the trail. And these trails are still being built somehow or another underneath your nose.
Yes.
Without you knowing about it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. So, for me, I moved here 20 years ago, was doing the Walmart thing, and thought I was going to have to give up what I loved best, which was mountain biking. Thought I was going to have to give that up to support my family. And now I'm in, just by luck, I happen to be in one of the hubs in this country that focuses on that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of how the shop evolved out of my love of riding.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first met you, I knew you were, I could just tell that you were a big time, cyclist. Like it's just written on you.
In a good way? Like,
Depends how hard you hit the tree.
yes.
Yeah.
What bones I have broken at any given time?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's I love Mojo for a lot of reasons. But like I'm attached to it. I used to work for you a long time ago. My brother used to work for you. I remember the original shop. I remember the second shop. This shop is amazing. You should be really proud of it. You put a lot of work into
Thanks.
it.
I put my heart and soul into
Yeah,
it.
you can tell.
Literally, it's not like just a business. This is like my living room.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, during COVID, when my family wanted to get together but still be able to, space apart and everything, we had our Thanksgiving dinner here in the shop because there's lots of room. So literally, it's part of my family's living space.
Yeah,
Because we
absolutely.
live this.
Well, you kind of touched on it a minute ago, but I'm going to ask it in a bit of a different way. What was the catalyst that got you to pick up and leave and move to Northwest Arkansas? About how long ago was that?
20 years ago,
20 years
almost
ago.
21 now, 21 years ago. I lived in Utah. My wife and I were there, and I was teaching, and teaching right now is in kind of a flux. It's kind of the dynamic is changing, and I need to be able to do more to be able to provide for my family and continue to move forward. And so I came here, and I had an office here. I worked for a toy company and ran the office here and was the team lead, selling Tonka trucks and other stuff into Walmart. Eventually, because of my background in extreme off-road stuff and in extreme sport, I actually moved into the creation phase, and I was generating new toys and creating new stuff.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were the guy behind that. They're rare. They're really rare right now, but there was an extremely cool remote control rock crawler. If I remember right, it was based around a Bronco. They sold it for a little while
Yeah.
in Walmart. They're highly sought after now.
The small Bronco was a digitized version of my personal vehicle, and the larger one was a Jeep.
Okay.
And we did that, and then there was also a Scorpion, which was an extreme off-road vehicle that was developed by a group of guys that lived down in Fayetteville, and we licensed that from them. The big ones came with the DVD that I was in. So if you've got one of those DVDs, they are a very rare commodity right now. And I worked with Thor Wixom, who was a filmer. He does stuff for Hollywood now. That was really, really big, and I earned the Family Fun Magazine Toy of the Year award with that, which is the highest award you can get in the toy industry.
That's really.
It's like an Academy Award of toys.
So I actually had one of those.
Yeah.
Not when they were in the store. I'd found out about them online, as one does, and took a trip to Joplin to buy one off a guy up there, and I was just gobsmacked by the attention to detail in that thing. So that's a major transition going from creating toys to owning and operating.
Not really. Not what
No?
you'd think. So I like, just real quick on an aside, I worked with the guys from Mickey Thompson. They actually gave me the CAD files for their new tires at the time, and I worked with them and my creative crew, which was in Hong Kong, for 4 months just on the tire composition and the thickness of the wheels so that they were performed properly.
It was amazing.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
really cool.
it was a lot of fun. But here's the deal. The reason those toys worked is because they were created to work in a certain environment, and understanding that environment and what someone wants to do with it, you work backwards and you let the structure or the morphology of the vehicle work to perform in that environment. All right? That's why the toys worked so well. We had economies of scale and a bunch of other stuff, so we could have a toy that performed insanely well at Walmart prices, which is what we wanted, right? So if you move that into the bicycle world, it's the same dynamic, right? So we have people that ride here in Northwest Arkansas, and instead of them coming in and just saying, and us just saying, hey, there's a mountain bike, you have $1,000 to spend, there you go. We come into it from the other aspect is we ask a lot of questions. Where are you going to ride? How long do you plan to ride? And then the most important question is, how do you decide to ride, right? Well, we ask people like, what kind of a bike are you looking for? Well, I do this trail. Well, it's not that, it's how do you do the trail? Like, are you the guy that sees the rock on the side of the trail and wants to launch off of it?
Yeah.
Are you the guy that's looking for the smoothest line between? Those two people need very different bikes.
That's right.
So that dynamic is really with a bicycle, but it's the same as what I was doing with the RC rock crawler and working in a four-wheel drive shop for 8 years and doing it with real vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's the same dynamic all the way through. So it was a logical step for me.
That's awesome.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. That actually, clear my throat here for a second, but that kind of makes me want to ask the question, really cool toys, really awesome mountain bike shop, where else besides a place like Northwest Arkansas would you be able to thread that needle? That's really cool.
You know what? I think the Northwest Arkansas gives us a unique dynamic. You've got Walmart here and like all the things that happen around that. And you've got virtually any product that's sold in a Walmart store, the people that are selling that have to have an office here. Right? So you've got all kind of creative dynamics that are going on all the time here. You've also got it as a logistics center, right? So like I was telling other people, you can fly in on an airplane, right, to XNA, the airport here, and in 45 minutes you can be from the airport, you can be on the trail.
That's right.
Right? So if you're like a CEO of a company that is in manufacturing or is trying to create a product in the biking world or in the radio controlled world or whatever it is, you can be from airplane to outdoor dynamic in 45 minutes. Like I'm from Utah, there's nowhere where you can be landing in the airport in Salt Lake City and be in like any dynamic easily in 45 minutes. And then have trails that you can literally ride off of and ride into town and ride to your office.
Yeah.
Right? The office park where I was working, right, now has a parking lot for Hand Cut Hollow right there. So you can ride from the trail right up to the offices that are there. I mean, there's no other place that I know of in the world that you can do that, and certainly not in this country.
Right. Well, mountain bike fever, I think, definitely has this place in a stranglehold for sure. Even
in a good way.
In a good way, absolutely. You know, we're kind of going back to the Wayback Machine. I consider myself one of the OG mountain bikers around here. I was riding before it was cool.
Yeah.
We would go to Roaring River and Devil's Den, and we would fall down the stairs and hike back up the stairs with our bikes on our shoulders, and we would travel to go mountain biking. North Carolina, Colorado, Georgia, and then, when my wife and I moved back here, and this place it was growing like this. Like this is awesome. Like it's here.
Yeah.
Like then it gets to the point where not only is it here, but arguably a lot of it is more comprehensive and challenges some of the best trail systems anywhere. It's fantastic.
It's funny. I like in the beginning, I bumped in, like back in the day, you used to see Tom Walton riding all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure he still does, but there's enough miles now that you just don't run into him like
Yeah.
you used to. But we bumped into him once when we were riding, and he said, "How do you like the trails?" And I said, "Yeah, they're pretty good." And at that point, there were only like 10 of us riding Slaughter Pen.
Yeah.
I mean, literally no one else.
Same people over and over.
No one else. And he's like, "Do you think it's succeeding?" And I'm like, "Well, the trails are fun." He's like, "Well, that's not success. I want people. I want to create a place where everyone in the world comes to ride here in Bentonville." And at the time, I was like, man, that's crazy, right? And so I said, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "I'm going to double down." And he probably doesn't even remember this conversation because it was just a thing. But
Right,
here's the deal:
in the woods.
when you have those kinds of resources, you can double down.
Yeah.
Like if I was doing it and and there were only 10 people riding, I'd be like, well, like I gave it a shot.
Right.
But he doubled down and he doubled down and doubled down until now. We've got 110 miles of trail in Bella Vista and like 60 miles in Bentonville, and they've got people that they bring in to review the trails. So it's just this rolling ball that's not gathering any moss, and it's going faster and faster down that hill.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what's funny is, XNA 45 minutes anywhere in the trail, and if that's not good enough, you can hop on a little, a Cessna or whatever with your mountain bike in the back, and you can be on a trail in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It's really like that whole culture it's just amazing. I know I'm fortunate that we get, that I get to call Northwest Arkansas home,
Yeah.
and I know that you are.
Yeah, who would have ever thought? I mean, literally, I thought that I was giving up, what I love to support my family, and now I'm in the center of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, it's so cool.
So if you could tell anybody, existing customers to be, just anybody, something that you would like them to know about your business that they may not know, what would that be?
I think the difference between our business and other businesses is when you walk in the door and you have a question. For me, the thing that I've always pressed home with my employees is that the customer's number one. I took that from Walmart, And so when you walk in and say, "I need a bike," we're not going to sell you the most expensive bike. In fact, often, once we find out what someone actually needs and drill down to how they plan to ride and everything, we actually end up selling bikes usually for less than people think they're going to be spending. And it's because we take the time to learn that when you come in for a bike, you may not be looking for a Lamborghini. You may be looking for an Acura, right? Or or a family van or whatever. And if you just walk in and someone says you need this bike, well, how the heck do they know what you need if they haven't spent a half hour talking with you about it? And so for us, that's what makes this shop different. And if you look around the walls here, everything we sell is proven by myself, one of my employees, or one of the customers that I ride with all the time. And if a product doesn't get a positive review from us before, then it never makes the walls here, because people work hard for their money and they have to know that the product's going to work as advertised. And if it doesn't, I won't sell it.
Yeah, yeah, I know that to be true. You know, been here, I've done it with you. It's been a ton of fun. Would you say, in the early days of as these trails and stuff started to expand, that you were solely responsible for the ringy bell epidemic that happened in Northwest Arkansas? And
I think I was solely responsible for a lot of things. Some of them
kids
I don't
on
know how good
unicycles
they
on
are.
Walton. Yeah, yeah. The well, I mean, you know, for me, like, just based on the way, like, you know, my logistics work out, I pass, you know, your shop every day, and I get to see how busy it is, and I love to see that. What I like to see, you know, when I come into this store, what I like to see, number one, the selection of bikes alone is fantastic, but all the little things to personalize it, to make it right, not just how it looks, but also truly how it rides. It's all here. You can walk in and get it, and if it's not here, you'll get it. And then I know for a fact, almost anytime somebody's over there at the register, it's like, hey, you want to come ride with us? Every time. We got a no-drop ride. We got some stuff we can go out and, you know, do crazy stuff with. There's always opportunity. So it's not just, hey, we got your back on the bike. It's, we got your back on the trail. Come ride with us.
Yeah. Introduce you to other people that ride, you know, the kind of riding you're wanting to do. I think it's a lot of it's because, like, we actually ride. You know, I'm the shop owner and I'm here all the time. I'm not an absentee owner. And if I'm not here, I'm riding.
You're riding. You're riding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time. I ride, you know, at least 5 times a week.
I knew that because I called you to do this interview and you didn't answer. And I was like,
Because I was on the trail.
I was on the trail. So I drove over
Exploring
here.
a trail that is in the process of being built
Yeah.
right now.
I
And
drove
so I
over
could
here.
take pictures
Yeah.
for people and say, this is coming. That's what I was
Right.
doing.
And I drove on over here, and there you were, freshly off a ride,
With mud all over.
all over. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and luckily this time not like totally soaked, like you'd taken a tumble through the creek.
No,
so that was good.
I didn't. That would have been really cold. It was 24 degrees, and getting in the water at 24 is not fun.
But you'll ride pretty much all the time.
No, not pretty much.
Well,
like all the time.
Yeah, like I would. Yeah, I agree with that. Pretty much, you know, if you've got a bike at your disposal, you're probably going to be on it.
Yeah. I did the polar bear ride last year
Oh, yeah.
at -5.
That's cold.
Yeah,
That's really
I
cool.
was out there for 2.5 hours and rode about 12 miles in, you know, about that much
No,
snow.
you're a machine because it pretty much like weather like this, and I start to kind of shut down. So, a little bit more personal. Is there a piece of advice or a philosophy that you subscribe to that you try to live your life by? Oh, we got deep.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
as deep as that creek, but
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's like my word is my bond. In the business world, you have a lot of people, and I don't want to get dark or negative, but part of the reason I got out is you'd have people that will sell their own mother down the river for a nickel. And if something's not specifically written down, then there's a way around it. And for me, in this shop, when you come and you deal with me, if we tell you something, we stick by it. And I can live the world, which I've created in this shop, by my rules, and that's the way I deal. And I do the same thing with my family. And for me, like when I'm gone, I want people to think of me as, you know, whether you like me or not, at least you know I'm an honest guy. And you know, one of the last things I remember my grandfather ever saying to me before he passed is, you know, one of the things I'm leaving to you is the Neal name. And I worked hard to create that name and the respect for it, and your responsibility is to move that forward. That's, you know, that's a heady proposition. And so I want, you know, through here, I want people to think of me that way. You know I can be kind of polarizing because I grew up in New England, and it's kind of like, you know, like that. But whether you like me or not, at least you know that, like, I'm saying what I feel, and I'm being honest.
Well, I know I speak for a lot of people. I love you for it.
Oh,
So,
well, thank you.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you inviting us into your living room and letting us interview you and talk about your shop a little bit, talk about the area. Hope we get to do it again real soon. We're going to figure out how to tie a bunch of cameras to Dalton and yank him down the trail. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
So
You're not having fun unless you're bleeding.
So yeah, Mojo Part 2 will be coming hopefully soon.
Like anytime you guys want, this is my passion.
Awesome.
So.
We really appreciate it. Thank you, Dave.
All right, have a good one.
You too.